I call to order the Wheeling Plan Commission for Thursday, July 12, 2012. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the Secretary Pro Tem please call the roll?
Commissioner Burns. Here. Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Rufato is absent. Commissioner Dorban.
Here.
I'm Commissioner Stylen. I'm present. Commissioner Schaff.
Here.
And Chairman Maloney.
Present.
So we're all here except Commissioner Rufato.
Has a death in the family. Would the, is there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
This section is citizens' concerns and comments. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to make a statement? There being none, we'll go to consent items. Docket number SCBA 12-32, Hawthorne Suites. It's a hotel on 8300 Capitol Drive. Appearance approval of a freestanding and wall signs. And docket number SCBA 12-21, Northwest Dental Spa, Implant Spa, 109 North Milwaukee Ave, appearance approval of a freestanding and wall sign. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion with a condition that all plants that are on the property, that the dead ones be replaced and they be reminded of the ordinance regarding maintenance and replacement of any vegetation on the property.
Which property are we speaking of?
The dental.
Dental. Do I hear a second on that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Items for review, docket number 2012-10 and SCBA 12-29. This is a public hearing that was tabled on June 14th. D'Agostino's Pizzeria, 241 South Milwaukee Avenue. 2012-10 is a variation from Title 21 signs relating to a freestanding sign, and SCBA 12-29, appearance approval of wall and freestanding sign. Ms. Jones?
The petitioner is present. Mr. D'Agostino, would you like to come up to the podium? Thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Good evening. You've been sworn in before, so proceed.
Okay. I think we've all discussed this before. Our issues before were the sign that is on the front lawn, that green, the old Hackney sign, and I think we had some concerns in regards to what was on it. It was recommended that we put our logo on it just to kind of brighten it up, and I don't really see any problem with that. The sign people don't have any issues, making anything like that. The other thing was I believe we needed to have the address on the sign, and I think we initially talked about having it in the front, like facing west. There's really not a lot of space there, so I don't know if there's another, well, you could see it on this picture. We decided that maybe we would put it, there's a section in between the LED and the top illuminated sign, that if it was okay, it seemed to be a better location for that. I know we had some concerns about like vegetation and stuff, and I think we submitted that we plan on definitely doing something. Hostas, we had talked about maybe winter creepers and some, I don't know if you all received the PDF of, okay, I see there. And that's what we would plan on doing for that particular sign. The other sign, I guess, has issues as far as, I guess we're needing a variance because it's too close to our lot line, and new ordinances really don't work for that sign anymore. We would really like to keep it, and I realize it also needs some vegetation around it. for sure, that's something I have no problem with doing. I don't necessarily know if we could do it immediately. If I could have, 6 months or so, or something we could do in the spring, that would be great. That's where we're at.
I received an email from Commissioner Raffato saying that he would be in favor of all the signs with the variation, and also seeing if we could get together with the neighbors who own, I believe, La France next door, and see if we could get them to trim those bushes so that that sign could be more visible, because they've been growing over the years, because it's been empty for a few years, and get that trimmed, or if you could get permission to trim them.
Right.
With that, I'll go to Commissioner Dorband.
Well, I don't have any problem with any of the signs. I did note that the plant choices, and I think there were good ones. I think that this particular sign that's here now, I would be certainly in favor of giving you some time to put some additional vegetation around the bottom. I know that you've made some significant changes, and I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
That's my only comment.
Would you say by the end of May next year for a date on that?
Yeah, well, because we're going to go into winter, he's not going to put anything until fall, and by the time,
But I mean, the end of May be a
yeah,
acceptable
I think
date?
that's fair.
May 31st, 30 days, that's all right.
Is that?
That's plenty, yeah. In the event we can get something done sooner, I definitely will. I would like to. How's that? I would really like to.
Commissioner Stylen.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Chairman.
don't have my cheat sheet.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with the signs, and, we're talking about landscaping under the sign that's being shown right now. And even if you put landscaping there, it isn't going to be seen by virtually anybody. What I would propose, I don't know if it's acceptable to do it or not, but the square footage or whatever that would be required for that sign would seem to me, if we put some entities in the parking lot, some plant islands or something out in the parking lot where greenery and landscaping might be a lot more visible. I think that would be a reasonable trade-off, and that's something you would see as you drive in. Today, when you drive in, all you see is this mass of, let's say, concrete or blacktop staring you in the face. Mm-hmm. And if, some of the little triangular places might be amenable for some kind of landscape island. Just a suggestion, because I really don't think landscaping under the sign is going to be usable. You can't see it from virtually anywhere. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Schaaf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two things. I think you should go to the people who own that property, La France. They were pretty good about letting Hackneys cut those bushes down. So I think that they would extend you that same courtesy, trimming those bushes down so you could see that sign. Mm-hmm. The other one is I kind of missed where you're going to put the address and on which sign.
It's on one of these.
The LED sign.
Above the LED sign, it says 241 South Milwaukee.
This one here.
There's
Okay,
maybe like a 6-inch, I want to say, section of the frame of the sign.
Right below
the illuminated
sign,
part in
and
between.
above the
LED.
The
Correct.
LED.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I hope that you keep all four signs.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. I like the redesign of the reader board sign, and I have no problems with the other ones, keeping them as they are, although the suggestion of additional landscaping, maybe throughout the rest of the parking lot, could be considered, and definitely cutting back those bushes next door if you can. Thanks.
Commissioner Burns.
Thanks. In addition to the variation on the setback, we're going to have to approve a variation on the second freestanding sign. And the landscaping, I guess we're talking about what to do with that variation. I guess we'd have to see, Commissioner Stilen and Commissioner Johnson, we'd have to see what they were proposing elsewhere in the parking lot. Do you think, an island of landscaping further in the parking lot would be any more visible than landscaping underneath the sign? Once you drive into Hackney's D'Agostino's parking lot, you see the sign, you see the parking lot, and but I would certainly be open to whatever proposals might look better than landscaping under the sign. If islands in the parking lot would actually be, a better improvement, I would like to see it. Those are my comments, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Dorban, you were referring to the landscaping under the freestanding sign, am I correct?
Right. I mean, if, I'm not sure how that would work in the parking lot area, but that's a good suggestion.
It would look good coming out of the restaurant too. You walk right into that sign. I mean, you'd be looking right at it. You're going to miss it, some of it from the street, but I think it'd be a good addition. It looks kind of bare there. My only problem with doing something out in the parking lot is you get greenery all around there. You get the river and the woods and all, but then it would be another visit back here with some kind of a plan. How are we going to work that?
I would believe that
I'm
there's...
asking the commission.
Okay.
Work with staff, that general comment?
The only problem, we do that a lot, say work with staff, and staff is already burdened. So I really hesitate to keep doing that because, quite honestly, it's our job. And to push it off on them just puts the burden back there, and then we don't get to see what ends up being done. So I have a little problem with that.
Well, I wouldn't worry about pushing it off to staff because if they got to come back, they've got to go back to staff in the first place.
But that's
The only
but the
thing
problem
is that
it's our job.
We're not seeing it.
It's our job and we're not seeing it. And so I have a little problem with that. I just don't think that that's the right thing to do. Keep saying, dump it on staff, dump it on staff.
All right, he's going to have to come back with some kind of a design on the sign by May 31st.
I mean, he's got, a long time.
Right, that's what I'm aiming for. What I'm getting at is he's got to come back to us anyway by May 31st with a plan for the landscaping under the sign. At that point, he can come back with some landscaping in the parking lot, and we can approve tonight the signage and the variation. Is that okay with everyone?
I have no problem with that. I just want the man to get up and running here.
Yeah.
Me too.
If you need to swear me in, you swear me in, but I'm the general contractor there. I'm going to make 2 comments.
Sir, can you please come up to
Please
the
come
mic?
up.
Thank you.
And, wait a minute, do you swear everything you're about to tell us is the truth?
I do.
And would you give your name and business address?
Benjamin Newberg, Charles Bender Company, 4017 Oak in Northbrook.
Thank you.
And I just want to make 2 comments so everybody is all on the same page. The post on that sign and the ceiling under the mansard, which will be red, is going to be more bronze tone in color, which matches with the bronze tone under the canopy on the entire facade that was approved by you guys prior. So I just don't want anybody to be expecting the white post to be there because it wouldn't match with anything that's going on. That's one comment I have. And one other comment I have that'll be a big help to him. You have to understand that prior to this, he had a contract for purchase on La Francais. And we convinced him to leave that site and go on to Hackney's site because it was a better site for him. So it is very hard for him to go back to the owner, Moran Trucking of La Francais. So anything the village can do to help him get them to cut the bushes down, if it's ordinance violation or something like that, or trim violation, it would help him drastically on being able to see that sign when you're coming from the south. And I know it sounds silly for me to come up here and say that.
Well,
but
I understand.
He really does need that help.
We'll see what we can do
Okay.
through between
Okay.
community development and economic
You understand why
development.
it's very hard for
I
him to go
understand,
back
yep.
there. Okay,
And
thank
that-
you.
That's what's running through my mind right now. That
Okay, the other situations are no problem with the
You have to wear the
flowers.
glasses with the big nose and the mustache.
Thank you.
Okay, we understand. We'll see if we can help
I'll grow.
on our end. Okay, can you read the conditions, please?
Sure. That the petitioner shall work with the neighboring property owner to trim the bushes on the La France property, and that the petitioner shall return to the Plan Commission by May 31st, 2012 for review of a landscape plan for the freestanding sign.
Well, wait a minute, we can't do that because we just said we don't want the petitioner to have to go back to the other property owner. So that needs to be changed. Because we're now not asking him to go back to the other property owner. We're taking the onus of that, if I understood everybody correctly.
Well, we're asking him to go back, but we'll try to assist him.
Well, but if it's going to be a problem for him in this situation, we're now causing him a hardship, and I don't like that.
Well, no, read the wording.
That's the way it's worded.
What's it
That the
say?
petitioner should work with the neighboring property owner to trim the bushes on the La France property.
That's not right. No. If that's an issue, that's not right. That's not right to put on the petitioner.
All right, well, put it down that he will try to work with the property owner. That way he's,
Could it be proper to work with staff?
Yes.
that's what we're talking about.
But-
Work with staff to try to get La France's bushes trimmed?
How about the petitioner should work with staff and the neighboring property owner to trim the bushes on the La France property?
Right.
That's acceptable to
Yeah.
me.
So, Brooke, I just have one question, right? We say that the petitioner should return next May with something. We've asked Phillips 66 over and over to come back and do some stuff.
They just did.
We've asked other property owners after having approved stuff to come back, and all of a sudden, they never do. So what kind of assurance do we have that the petitioner, we're asking him to come back, but what kind of assurance do we have that he will come back?
Didn't we talk about putting up a bond after Phillips 66? And we've had several people do that.
Well, the other thing
But
is,
the bond is
you know,
based upon the costs of the landscaping. If we don't have a landscape plan, I don't know how we could bond, yeah.
well, the other thing is, though, you know, I think maybe as a commission, we need to have some kind of a calendar too, where we have, you know, a tick sheet that we tick off these things and keep them on our calendar, that we go back and look at them. Because, you know, we get mired into doing other things and we forget about those. So some of that, we need to figure out how we can have some kind of follow through, some kind of a calendar that.
Yep.
Well, I think in terms of the other, I mean, clearly this petitioner wants a number of things approved tonight, right? And previous petitioners, namely Phillips 66, wanted things approved as well. When they were approved, they went away, and they never came back despite countless asks to come back and fulfill their obligations, and they never did. So I'd really like to know, no offense against you guys, I mean,
That's
I'd
fine.
like to trust you.
But I plan on seeing y'all anyway. So you'll be in there. So you'll be reminding me.
Well,
You know-
once again, we go back to after Phillips 66, we decided that we'd have someone post a bond.
Yeah,
We just,
I'd like to do something
prior to
like
issuing
that.
anything, we'd get an estimate on what the thing would,
Could be,
a
or,
rough estimate and get a bond.
right.
All right? Can we get that in there?
Okay.
Want to read that back?
Okay. The petitioner shall provide a bond for the estimate of the landscape work for the freestanding sign.
Any other comments?
For-
Do I hear? Comment? Do I hear a motion?
Should there be a date attached to that, that he's coming back by the end of May?
Oh, he's got to have the bond before that.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Can I speak to the motion?
We have two petitions.
Okay, we've got two petitions. Let me get back to the,
We have the SCBA docket and the variation.
all right, let's
And
go.
Commissioner Burns wanted to speak to the motion.
Yes.
On the May 31st deadline, I think we should say on or before. I mean, the petitioner
Okay.
might have
On or
this
before.
next
that's
March.
fine.
On the deadline.
That's completely
on or
fine.
before.
I just want to understand what we're talking about, though, before, I don't understand the whole bond thing, what you're asking of me.
Okay. We've had cases in the past where, What we're
People
going
don't
through
keep
now.
their word, I
yeah,
understand.
a bond is not very expensive, right?
Right.
It just, in case you don't do that, don't come back to us in May with a design and all, that we activate the bond, the village gets the money for it, and then we do the landscaping, I guess, right?
The only problem I see is that if they don't have a plan, and right now, what is the estimate based upon?
Get a landscaper to give them a rough estimate.
He won't be able to get bonded for it, he's not a contractor.
Pardon?
He won't be able to get bonded for it because he's not a contractor or anything, he's a restaurant. He can't get that bond. Now, if the village had a deposit that he could give, that would...
Would you want to come up and speak into the microphone, sir?
It's pretty hard for an individual or a person in his type of business to get bonded. In other words, contractors can get bonded. He can't get bonded, so so I think it would, most villages that I deal with require a deposit against the fee. So if the landscaping was $2,500, they want a $250 deposit. If the landscaping was $5,000, they want a $500 deposit.
How are we doing this?
You know, I don't know, you can't be sure he can get bonded that easy for that stuff. That's a hard
wouldn't
thing to
even
go
know
get
how to
I
bonded.
know
start
for
up.
sign permitting,
Becomes complicated.
for sign permitting, we don't like to accept checks or deposits in lieu of a bond. We prefer a performance bond because it's much cleaner for us to hold as staff.
Well, how have we done that? We've done this before with a couple of cases where we required a bond in the last year. Do you know how that went?
Yes, it's based upon, there's a sign contractor or some other.
Sign contractor does the bonding?
Yes.
So in this case,
Mr.
you need a landscaper to do the bonding.
If he's got somebody capable of doing it.
Okay, if it works out the same way, you're going to have to get a landscaper to give you an
Well,
estimate.
right.
Mr. Chairman.
I just was hoping I could just maybe make a suggestion. What's important to me right now is being able to know that I can do these signs so that my sign company can start. They won't even start on my signs until I have approval. They just won't. I need to know that those signs are going to be okay. If I need to have a landscape plan and I'll bring it back in a month, the next meeting, I'll bring another plan back. No bond, none of that. Don't make it any more complicated. Just say you need to come back in a month with a plan. I'll get a landscaper, whoever I need to get out there and look at it, give me an idea what I got to do, and come back with it. But really the most important thing to me is getting these signs started. That's a 6 to 8 week
Right.
process, and I won't have any signs.
Just think, every time we go in there, well, he has to face us if he doesn't do it.
Of course, but if you schedule me for the next, give me 30 days or so to get with some, landscape contractors and get some ideas and some estimates or whatever, if I have a month to do that, and then I come back and come in front of you again and say, hey, this is what we came up with, does this look okay? If that's adequate, that's,
I
mean,
personally think it's fair to give him 30 days to come back with some kind of a design. We need to have a design. We have nothing to attach it to.
I don't need till May to come up with something that I'm going to put around a sign. It's not that big of a sign. I'll figure something out with somebody that looks really nice. Most importantly is getting these signs started. I've already been warned it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks to make these signs, and,
Holding up his opening.
well, I mean, I can open, but I can't even have a
So we
sign on
change
it.
this to come back in August?
Well, the
Does that sound reasonable
variations
to you?
for
Yeah,
the
there's
sign
no-
are not even approved tonight.
Can we
It's just the
separate the two?
appearance.
Can we separate the two? We're working on the signs. Let's separate the two, approve the signs if that's the pleasure of the commission, and then make the landscape piece of it a separate piece. Is that better? I mean, does that make it a little cleaner?
No, because I think the landscaping really is tied to the sign. It's a requirement.
that
It's
thought.
actually a zoning variation. A sign variation.
Terry, you always have good ideas. Come on.
I don't think
Well,
I'm very,
how about if you just add a condition on the variation? And then if the condition isn't fulfilled, then the variation is withdrawn and he's back to the square one.
But he's still going to be able to get his signs made.
Well, I don't
His-
know.
what he
That's
wants
up
to-
to,
he
that's
wants-
up to the village. Can he start making his signs even though the variation hasn't been officially approved? The appearance has been approved, but the variation hasn't. That would be, I guess, up to him. If you want to start making the sign, go ahead and make it. And if
His
your
sign
landscaping
maker's
is
not going to make
good,
it unless the variation's approved.
but he won't
Is
be
that
able
correct?
to.
right.
I believe this would be going to the village board for consideration of the variations on July 23rd.
Okay. So,
That's when you would have final approval for everything. But
Yours-
tonight, they would give you, good
And it would be a
consensus.
recommendation to
Yes.
the board is all it is that correct?
On the variations, they're giving you their recommendation.
Right.
But for the other three signs, it's final approval.
It is final.
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, do you need just appearance approval to get the signs to start being made? If we say the
yes and no,
appearance is fine?
I guess I'd have to talk with the sign manufacturer. The only issue is that the sign that is on the north side of the building right there, on this picture, and the other sign, they're identical, other than the fact that there's two that are back-to-back on the freestanding sign, the tall one. And would have to assume they'd want to do all three at one time. They're all three identical signs.
They're not backlit signs.
Yeah,
Right.
they're sandblasted.
And Mr. Chairman, I mean, we would be approving the variation or recommending the approval as long as a condition was fulfilled by a certain date and time. So we would be recommending approval of everything. You know, I think that's, to me, would be workable.
Right.
It's not that we're not approving.
They would actually even give appearance approval tonight for this freestanding sign. It's
Right.
just subject to the village board approving the variations
I
on
see.
July 23rd.
Okay,
So you would walk away tonight with appearance approval for 4 signs,
okay.
subject to the sign variations.
They're never going to make you change the sign. They're done with
I don't know.
that. As long as the village board
sign
approves
itself.
the sign itself. The landscaping, they haven't even looked at to be able to tell you.
Right.
But if the variation doesn't get approved, then what?
Well, the variation, we're going to approve our part of the variation and the sign appearance tonight. And then the village board has to approve the variation at their meeting.
The 23rd.
And
Okay,
then you're clean,
okay,
okay?
You're 2 weeks, about.
yeah.
A week and a
Yeah,
half.
it's the 12th, yeah.
Does that mean we're not, sorry,
The
Mr. Chairman?
chance, the chance of the village board approving it with your is pretty
Hi.
high, okay, understand?
Okay, okay.
I mean, I would think, if Olympic told you it was your responsibility if they didn't approve it, I'd almost tell them that you'll take the responsibility because you want.
Mr. Burns?
We're not talking about the landscape.
Please, sir.
Right,
We're going to approve the variation requested without condition then, without a landscaping condition, correct?
No, I would put the condition in.
So
So what's the
what is the
condition
motion
gonna
that we're
say?
making? And I'd like to discuss it.
What's the condition now for the landscaping?
We're approving the signs, everything as presented. The condition, if I understand everybody's comment, is that they would come back within 30 days and bring us a landscape plan for whatever additional landscaping they're
parent's
going to do.
approval.
Am I correct?
Then we're not approving it, because the request is to reduce the landscaping required from 158 square feet to 0 feet. So if we say, come back with a landscape plan, we're not approving the variation request. In the bigger discussion, you know, we're trying to think of a way of getting this landscaping and approving the petitioner's request tonight. He's told us what he wants to do. He wants to work with us. He wants to put landscaping out there. He wants to get a plan and an alternative, including islands in the parking lot, if that's going to look better. I think that as plan commissioners, we can use our judgment, our best judgment on a case-by-case basis. And yeah, you've been burned in the past sometimes by that. But, you know, that's the chance you take. But this is a restaurant. It benefits the Agostino's and the Village of Wheeling if the parking lot is beautiful.
And like I said, he has to look at our face every time we go in.
I agree. So
Start looking at them.
Yeah, but he's also cutting
We
our
go,
fee.
we go
might get the
back
health
to,
club
so we
too,
go
so-
back to work with staff? Is that what we're saying?
I'm not sure. where
Or
we
just
are.
approve his variation request, and he's going to work on a landscaping plan, and
Why does he need a landscaping plan if we approve the variation, like you said, that he doesn't need landscaping at all?
to beautify his restaurant.
So.
Is that your plan, Mr. D'Agostino?
So the only way I can see it
Without a
is,
doubt.
the only way I can see a reasonable thing is, that, again, we're going to get back to that he's to bring a landscaping plan for the sign and some greenery in the parking lot to work with staff on that. That's the only way I can see doing it without not approving a lot of this.
As long as we see it again, how's that? I guess I'm okay because I
Okay, work
want to
with
move this
staff,
along.
review by board.
Right.
How's that?
I want to move this along.
I do too.
I don't want to belabor this anymore, but I do want to see it again. How's that?
So, but I'll go back to Commissioner Burns' question. Are we approving the variation?
That is my suggestion.
Then there's no need for landscaping under the sign because we've reduced the requirement to 0.
If the owner decides to put in landscaping in his parking lot, would that trigger a trip to the Plan Commission and the Village Board?
It may require a minor site plan review, not necessarily board review.
So we would get to see it.
Board review, right?
It would force this body to review it if you were putting in curbs and
Right.
landscaped islands, yes.
You wouldn't have a problem with them reviewing it if you do the stuff.
Well, no, I don't.
In other words, not doing it without them seeing it.
No.
You check them. Sure.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying anyway. I mean,
Yeah. it's exactly-
I have all intentions. I don't like it myself, you know. I think there's nothing nice about looking at that sign and,
It's put in a bad location.
yeah.
But-
So to do whatever we can to make it more attractive, I mean, that's what I want to do. I mean, once you see the rest of the restaurant, you'll realize that that sign is going to definitely need some help. It's not going to, it will not fit how nice the place is inside and outside compared, you know, that sign's,
Actually, if the bushes are cut, you may see the landscaping
Yeah.
under the sign from the other side,
yeah.
if you were able to get the bushes trimmed in.
I mean, again, it's just my concern is getting these signs started. I'll do whatever I have to as far as the landscape is considered. I'll do whatever I have to do, basically. So that's all I don't know. I don't know how you need to write it up or do whatever, but
I think you could possibly recommend approval of the variation for the landscaping down to 0 square feet, but then add a condition that they come back at some point
Okay.
and
With
work
the
with
landscape
staff
plan?
on it.
just give me a month. I'll get
I
people
think
out there. and
That
we'll
seems
look at it.
contradictory to me.
I think, well, I
What-
know
if
Andrew
that-
went out and checked the sign, and he said there are a lot of obstructions, and it would be very difficult to construct landscaping. And so that's my only concern, is that if you don't grant the variation for all of the landscaping to be removed or never implemented, then you may be left with a scenario where they try to design a landscaping that is attractive but not feasible, and then they'll need another variation. So if we grant them the variation, but we have a condition that they work with us on trying to add some type of landscaping, I think we'll cover all bases.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that. I'm willing to go out on a limb and say, I
If we were
know
to,
that, I agree with Commissioner Burns. At some point, we need to feel flexible enough that we feel comfortable in approving some things that, even though we've gotten burnt in the past.
It's to his advantage to put something there. Can you word that?
We'll give
yeah,
you,
what are we gonna,
Yeah.
what are we
talk
gonna,
amongst yourselves.
what are we gonna vote on at this point? My suggestion is we grant these variations without addressing them coming back with a landscape plan. It is my firm belief that the owner is gonna come back with a landscape plan in the near future and ask our approval of it to improve his parking lot. If that doesn't happen, okay, I'll be disappointed.
I'll be disappointed as well, but I agree with you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we?
Wait a minute, hold on. Let's go back to the conditions.
And read the conditions, yes.
Well, first of all, for the variation, are you recommending approval without any landscaping?
That's what, yes, that's what Commissioner Burns
Okay.
and Dorband have suggested.
And then Commissioner Burns, you were suggesting there be no condition regarding return?
No condition.
Okay, so then the only condition would be working with staff and the neighboring property owner to trim the bushes.
Correct.
Okay. I would drop the neighboring property owner from that condition, but
Because, again, it's to his advantage. to
we
do it.
already heard the problems that could ensue there. So maybe if the petitioner wants to work with staff and staff wants to contact the property owner,
Thank
that
you.
has nothing to do with this
I totally
request by the
agree.
petitioner.
Good.
Yes.
So we drop that. All right, so now we're back to the original variation. This is 2012-10, variation from Title 21, signs relating to freestanding sign. Do I hear a motion?
Was
So-
made by Commissioner Dorband before and seconded by Commissioner Stylen.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes,
Commissioner Rafato is absent, Commissioner Dorband,
Yes.
and I'm Commissioner Stylen. I will vote no, and Commissioner Schaff,
Yes.
and Chairman Maloney.
Yes.
That's 2, 4, 5 yes, 1 absent, and 1 no.
Okay. SCBA 12-29 are their conditions.
The only condition is that the freestanding sign at the southwest corner of the site be approved subject to approval of the required variations from Title 21 signs.
Do I hear a motion?
so moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Please call the roll.
Who made the motion again? Mr. Johnson? And Commissioner Burns was the second?
Correct.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes,
Commissioner Burns?
Yes.
Commissioner Dormad?
Yes.
I'm Commissioner Stylen. I vote yes. Commissioner Schaff?
Yes.
And Chairman Maloney?
Yes.
That's 6 yes and 1 absent.
So you've got some papers to sign in a minute, and you're out of here. Finally.
Thank you very much.
call your sign guy tomorrow.
I know it was,
Well, you got to wait for the village board for
23rd.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks for your help.
Oh, when do you plan on opening, did you say? When do you plan on opening, do you think?
Hopefully within a month.
Within a month?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, great.
You think I'm a little at Jeff? So September 1st. Oh. There's a possibility that those bushes and all are on right of way or not really at La Francais.
It doesn't look like it.
Doesn't look like
I'm surprised they don't want to clean it up considering they want to sell that property.
it. Well, you know, they sold, the original owner of La Francais, they did a lot of work for him. He sold all the house and everything to the funeral home. So that's all cleared, you know what I mean? So the only thing left now for this guy is that piece, and he'll never sell as a restaurant now because there's no parking. So I don't know what he'll do with it.
I'm just surprised he doesn't want to clean it
Yeah,
up just to be
try
sold
to
in
do
general.
something, yeah. I don't know if he wouldn't be better off to tear the building down, at least if you have a chance. I mean, that's only made for a restaurant, you know.
Suppose it could be used as an office
And he
building.
took all the wine out of there now and stuff, so I mean, there had to be $200,000 worth of wine there.
Oh, my.
So I mean, he must have intentions to try to do something. You know.
We'll have staff see if they can
Yeah.
get an agreement to
Yeah.
trim the.
And I'm willing to go over there. It'd be very hard for him because, I mean,
Yeah.
it was, just was a better spot for him. We couldn't get the parking to work. We had to tear those buildings down and keep going and going and going. He would never get out of the mess, you know. I don't think he'll be able to come back to you by August 15th because I think he'll be so tied up trying to get help and get open. But I think he's a straightforward kid, and I think they will be back. I do a lot of work for the family. You guys have been the village has been very, very good to him. I can tell you that. And I do work in a lot of towns. All I build is restaurants. The village has been very, 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 and I'll say it one more time, good to him from the day we started.
That's good to hear.
It is good to hear because I did a lot of work in Wheeling 20 years ago, and it was nowhere near like this. They have been over-accommodated.
Oh,
Thank you for saying
There's no town I
that.
go in that's like this. None.
that's for a different.
Thank
I'm
you.
not saying that because you approved them tonight or didn't approve them tonight. And he'll say the same thing. They've been very accommodating. Every inspector, every single person.
Yeah, but you're still not open.
Still trying. That isn't because he's
It is what it is.
Yeah, we can drive to Glenview for another month.
if you'll pay the gas, right?
Kind of cross a dangerous road.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Approval of minutes of June 28th, 2012. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
With a correction.
Yeah, I don't think I abstained from voting on a
And
motion to
I
approve.
didn't, the second needs to be corrected on the minutes.
What do you have to correct?
On the minutes, go to the second. I was not here. If you look at the roll call, it says I'm absent, but then if you go to the adjournment, it shows that I am there. So that just needs to be corrected.
And there's another correction, I believe.
Go ahead.
Item number 8 on page 2 says that I seconded a motion by Commissioner Raffato to approve the minutes of June 14th, and then I abstained. That's curious. And I don't think that's how it happened, but we can find out.
Did you abstain, or do you think you seconded?
Oh, I think I seconded, but I'm not sure. That's why.
Okay. I can check the video.
Thanks.
With those changes, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
And one abstention. And we get to other business. Commissioner Burns,
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Johnson,
Nothing here?
Commissioner Dorband.
I have a couple things. Do we have any idea what's going on with Phillips 66 with the landscaping? For a long time, they were working on it, and I thought they were going great guns, and now all of a sudden it appears that they've come to a screeching halt.
The business is very close to being opened. They did not want to install the plants in that planting area until the business is opened and there would be someone there watering them regularly. Otherwise, they would die immediately in this heat.
Okay. Again, I'm going to bring up the issue of the comp plan discussion. I really think that we need to look at that again. And I just want to thank the commissioners for having a great conversation this evening about DeAgostino's. I think that's something that we hadn't done in a while, and I'm glad to see it get resurrected. Also, the library is doing a focus group, and they are asking for people to participate. And you can register at the library or at the library's website. The dates are Thursday, July 26th from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. or 11 a.m. excuse me. And the other one is Thursday, August 16th from 7 to 8 p.m. And they are looking for people. I went to it last evening, and it was very informative and very interesting, and want to encourage all of us and anybody out there that's listening to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Stylen.
Nothing tonight.
Whoa.
Anything to report from the Caribbean, the Mediterranean?
It's busy and hot out there.
And Commissioner Schaaf.
I have nothing, thank you.
And I have nothing. So hear
So
a motion.
moved.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to adjourn has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We're out of here.